We have something like 2,000 open source GitHub repositories that use our product, 1.4 million monthly downloads on NPM. It really blew up on Twitter, and it was probably the first time that I built something that went viral. Everyone around me was saying chat is dead.
Yeah.
I think people are much more willing to accept chat now than in 2024 when I started. Building chat interfaces seems very easy. The hard part is state management. ChatGPT, Claude, and all these other AI chats that consumers are familiar with set a high bar. So consumers are expecting the same level of polish in every app if you want to roll your own in-app AI agent. That's where Assistant UI comes in and gives you all the basic features built in. I think the classic role of you have a company where someone specifies the features completely and then gives it to engineering to build doesn't work anymore. Because the building part, if you have a really good spec, is just fully automated by a coding agent. And so the bottleneck is really writing good prompts and having that sort of taste.
What was the early signal when you said, okay, let's make this into a product?
I think what drove me was
Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of The Merge, our podcast brought to you here from our San Francisco office at CodeRabbit. Today I'm super excited because I'm joined by Simon Farshid, the founder and CTO of Assistant UI, an open source project that you will be learning a lot more about in just a minute. Simon, how are you doing today?
great, and thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to have you too. I think the project has seen great success. Certainly, I've heard about it actually a while back already, but some people might not be so familiar already with what you're doing right now. So could you give us a little bit of a brief?
Of course. So Assistant UI gives you the UX of ChatGPT in your own app. We give you React front-end components. You can customize them the way you want, and we handle the state, streaming, and connections to OpenAI, as well as the agent frameworks like Master, LangChain, and AI SDK.
Right on. Very important work. I think one of the quotes that I read is, I think it was from SaaS. That's the idea. They were claiming that you're revolutionizing the way UI is done for the new era of chat, which I think is certainly the interface that we've been all using the most lately. Can you tell me what was wrong with the way it was done before? Why did we need Assistant UI?
The project originally started as a hackathon project. I didn't plan to make it into a startup. It was something that I needed myself. When I started the project in 2024, everyone was making fun of AI wrappers, and because AI chat was very popular, but at the same time, everyone felt a little bit like it seemed so repetitive that nobody thought this was going to become a huge thing. I think since then, we've adopted chat as the default interface for AI agents. This was not very obvious around the time that I started it. I think I just saw that I needed this so often in my own personal projects, and also when I was trying to start other startup ideas. So I built it for myself, and it caught on a little bit.
Yeah, what is the traction right now? How many people are using it?
We have something like 2,000 open source GitHub repositories that use our product, 1.4 million monthly downloads on NPM. This includes NPM updates as well.
That's very impressive. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's about like 1.5% of the market, so we still have long ways to go.
I mean, that's a big market.
Yeah.
I saw a first demo of you. I think it was at the AWS Gen AI Build-A-Love. It was 2024. Can you tell a little bit about the story where you started back then and then where you're going now? How did you see the shift? What were the new challenges that came up?
Yeah, that demo, I think I made it like about 2 weeks in after I decided Assistant UI was going to become the thing that I'll really focus on. I randomly signed up to this event. I didn't even prepare much for it. I started preparing for that event like an hour before. And I pulled up one of the examples that I had built trying to sell Assistant UI to another company, an e-commerce store. And it really blew up on Twitter. And it was probably the first time that I built something that went viral. And I think it only has 100K views, but it seems like it's highly concentrated in San Francisco and in the exact right community. So there was this sort of impression that a lot of people around me suddenly knew what Assistant UI was.
I remember I learned about it, and then I also used it in one of my projects. So very excited to hear that you are coming, and that I get a chance to chat to you, because I feel like it was really one of those early first pivotal moments, and I saw a lot of people building in the city on Assistant UI. Maybe for people who have not dived into it yet, can you explain a bit more deeply, why did we need it? A new interface? Why was like whatever Streamlit was providing, for example, not sufficient?
Building chat interfaces seems very easy. The hard part is state management. You got the state that streams in token by token, and you want to stream this efficiently. There's all sorts of post-processing that you want to do, like markdown parsing, things like file attachments, queuing messages, voice mode. These are all things that you need to add on top of the original chat interface. Message editing is another one that's sometimes challenging. And I just bundle all of these standard features into the same component library. The bar is pretty high because ChatGPT, Claude, and all these other AI chats that consumers are familiar with set a high bar. So consumers are expecting the same level of polish in every app if you want to roll your own in-app AI agent. And that's where Assistant UI comes in and gives you all the basic features built in.
Great. Can you tell us some names? Like, do you have some prominent companies that are using it right now that are relying on your project?
Yeah. So I went through Y Combinator, and they're using it internally.
Wow.
LangChain uses us. Mastra uses us. We got a few Fortune 500 enterprises. I'm not so sure if I can name them, but they use us mostly internally. Sometimes also as part of like their developer kits.
How do you balance, I guess, feature requests coming in from these companies and these bigger names, or is this maybe something that the community seems to focus? Because if you have so much traction, so many downloads a month, I can only imagine there must be a lot of people pulling on your project, trying to navigate you in one direction or another.
One of the cool design decisions that I made was to make everything so modular that every customer can build our next feature themselves. So when customers that are paying us ask for new features, we go ask them for repository permissions and build it in our code base. And then we try it out, do this again for another customer. And this way we figure out the patterns and the design space, and then we pull it into the main library.
Okay.
Everyone can build our next feature themselves. And this doesn't apply to everything, but 95% of new things we ship works like this.
Okay. Do you get a lot of quality pull requests from externally as well?
Small scope PRs are usually very high quality. I've actually hired like 3 people from the open source contributors, and it's been great.
Wow.
Because they understand the product direction and have similar taste to me. And that's really hard to find otherwise.
Yeah, I think taste in general is an interesting conversation topic. Seems like now with the new era of Gen AI, this is what matters the most for programmers, especially as we become full stack and more of a product management role as well somehow. I like that term, product engineer, to a certain sense.
It's true.
How do you decide for that? How do you hire for that?
I think the classic role of you have a company where someone specifies the features completely and then gives it to engineering to build doesn't work anymore. Because the building part, if you have a really good spec, is just fully automated by a coding agent. And so the bottleneck is really writing good prompts and having that sort of taste. I think we feel this a lot ourselves as well, because Assistant UI's product is mostly about design and less about engineering feat. It's like we give you a well-designed interface, but we also give you a good developer experience. APIs that make sure as you grow, your code doesn't become spaghetti and remains maintainable. And these are like design decisions on how we make you structure your code that lead to a more maintainable code base. And then for the agents that run in your app, we try to give you a few APIs that for the LLM to use so that it can interact with your app. And there, the ergonomics matter as well for the agentic experience so that the agent is able to be productive in the UI. So if the user just interacted with something, it knows the context of that.
I saw that, I mean, Assistant UI is mainly built in TypeScript, right? But then you also, a lot of your customers, I guess they're built on LangChain, at least that's what I saw in your demo as well. What else is there to, how do you see people building chat apps these days? I guess is my question.
Our market is all React developers, and I would say 60% use TypeScript, 40% use Python backend. The best agents I've seen use Python, but then like I think the average quality of the TypeScript projects is higher. So it's like interesting. It's like you have a few teams that are very data driven and actually obsess over every word in the system prompt and the tool design and all that. The kind of engineer who obsesses over that, I think on average is a Python developer. And so that's, I see a few really good agents being built in Python. I would say it's much easier to build good agents with TypeScript though. We support both. We have adapters and for Assistant UI in both Python. We have a small Python library that we maintain as well as TypeScript. There are a few users who use esoteric languages, but 99% of the market is TypeScript and Python.
Yeah, I had Abi, the CTO of Mastra here as well. He also had some opinions on that, which is interesting. I feel, and many people agree with me, that the main market used to be in Python. I mean, the entire LangChain train came and took, I think, a major part. Do you feel like that is shifting in a certain sense? That more people are moving into TypeScript, or do you think that will stay in Python, just like you mentioned before?
I'm more bullish on TypeScript. It's mostly where my heart is at, I think. I think TypeScript as a language, as a developer community culture, the TypeScript developer community is more obsessed about design. And I think that matters a lot, especially also thanks to Mastra. They're bringing a ton of evals and the culture around being data-driven to TypeScript. So I think what they're doing there with their evals platform and tests and stuff is really cool.
Yeah, I agree. I think they've done a great job. I'm building most of my agents now on Mastra because it's so easy to use. I think they've done a great job at making it accessible for an coding agent as well to just dive into a project and formulate that out.
That's right. I realized that the programming languages probably matter less going forward, thanks to coding agents. You'll have a lot of data teams that will start feeling comfortable using TypeScript, given that we barely write any code by hand anymore, and it's all AI anyway. I realized this in hiring as well, where it's like you can hire a front-end engineer or a data scientist and have them work full stack. And this sort of like ownership across the whole stack is really productive, I think. So that's the way we hire, is like we hire folks who can own and maintain features end to end. So they come up with the idea of the feature, do a little bit of research in the design space, and then go and build it.
That's interesting because personally, I feel like certain domain expertise in programming even still matters, even with coding agents. Like, for example, I recently built an app, and I'm not a database expert. Actually, my background is in embedded C, so a little bit different. And I built it with some other folks around that, probably also weren't database experts. And then when we onboarded a lot of users at the same time, the app crashed because we there was some inefficient querying as well, and then some of the scaling of the database just didn't work. And I feel like if we would have had somebody with more expertise in our team because we were using AI, that probably would have not happened to us. So how do you see that?
I try to hire a diverse team in terms of like interests. So some people who are more data driven, some that are obsessed over infrastructure, some that obsess over design, some that obsess over efficiency. And we operate in a way where engineers in my team pick up tasks that they enjoy doing. So there's not a fixed roadmap order. So the order to which we implement features depends on like the interests of the engineers. And by hiring a more diverse team there, I aim to like even the product out. So hopefully when something like this happens where one of our queries is inefficient, the engineer who looks at our dashboard sees there are a few spikes in the average latency, and they get super curious and go and figure out why that's the case.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Let's switch gears a little bit and talk a bit about open source. I think one thing that is very interesting about Assistant UI is that you're making a business out of something that started as a hobby project, and you're making it all open source and available. What is your business model, and what is the trick behind making it sustainable?
Yeah, it's trickier than your usual business. It's hard to make money with UI component libraries, which is what Assistant UI at the end of the day is. I saw Clerk and was inspired by them. They give you authentication and also React components as the API for interacting with the authentication service. And so we have Assistant Cloud, and it's our backend, and it's a database basically. It powers a chat history product. When you upload files, we can store them in Assistant Cloud, and then we give you analytics so you understand what sort of questions people ask in your product, how many people use your product, the AI chat in your product. And we're expanding to add a few more features that, like an AI gateway, basically, that so you can like use all the different AI models in there, a billing service so that you can let your users add tokens in a wallet, add money in a wallet and use it for their token usage. This is for the AI app builders that have like longer running agents, and help our users make money is like one of the ways we're gonna make money.
Okay, so you're basically, as soon as somebody becomes more successful with their project, and you can see that you can charge a little subset of that, and that's been working out well for you.
We're currently charging per monthly active user for the storage service and analytics. So if a user interacts with your AI chat, we charge a small fee for that.
How did you come up with that? I think that's a very difficult barrier to find, and also the concept itself is hard to develop. Maybe many people who will be listening to this were also thinking, I got an open source project that somehow seen some traction. Yeah. Where did you start drawing the line between this is going to be freely available, this is what we're going to use as a service to sustain ourselves?
Yeah, it has pros and cons to do open source, I think. Assistant UI, because you cannot directly really monetize UI libraries on a venture scale, there's not that many examples of it. It doesn't see that much competition from other venture-backed companies. And that's a good thing. That makes our lives a little bit easier. The downside is that our business model is more convoluted. We have to get traction on the open source product. And then there's this whole separate product, which is not just Assistant UI as a hosted service. It's supplemental add-ons that plug into Assistant UI. And for that part, we charge. And so you need to get product market fit twice. You need to make the open source product successful, and then you need to upsell the open source customers on the paid product. And that's a whole different product that needs its own product market fit.
Wow. How big is your team right now?
We're four engineers full-time.
Wow. So no marketing?
It's all inbound. The nice thing is that on the cloud product, we get a ton of enterprise inbound requests just because we have champions in the companies that use the open source product. And through our documentation, we do a decent job at like selling the cloud product and the need for it. And when the customer is ready, they come to us.
Do you plan on expanding the team or expanding the footprint further? Is there maybe another product you're thinking about working on?
We're actively hiring, but I try to keep our product scope more on the smaller end and just going really deep on a few design spaces and getting really good in that area. Because I think building a very basic AI chat is already doable with Cloud Code. And the benefit that we give you is that we've just gone so deep in the design space that it won't be the intuition for your AI coding agent to do this on the first try.
Yeah, that's an interesting question too. Where do you see the interface going? Because some people might argue that maybe chat is not going to be the box. I think I've read a couple X posts on, chat is dead and we need something new. What do you think will be the next interface for us?
I think dialogue is here to stay. So it's going to be either chat or voice. We're experimenting with a few multimodal interfaces, like you point your mouse at an element and then use your voice to ask about it. At the end of the day, I think chat and dialogue is going to stay. It's just going to get more interactive.
What does that interactive element look like?
So the AI can show you not just text, but generate components on the fly. It can interact with other services and apps and do things for you. I do think that the interface is going to overall shrink just because language is more expressive than many of the dashboards and UI interfaces that we have today. So unless you're showing rich information like charts, maps, diagrams, you might get away with just text.
You just made me think for a little while. I remember the first Streamlit app that I built, and I felt like it was feeling so clunky, but it somehow worked. So I assume that you kind of went on the same journey when you started with Assistant UI. What was that first adoption curve moment like? Because I remember you writing, we talked about that AWS Gen AI moment where you gave that presentation and then that LinkedIn post. I think there was also something that I found about an opinionated piece on the internet where you talked as one of the early ones about the limitations of ChatGPT-4 writing JSON, structured JSON output. So it seems like you've been a thought leader in the space. Did you find it easy to find traction for that project, or was that something that you also had challenges with? What was the early signal when you said, okay, let's make this into a product?
I think I resisted the signals that I was seeing, the pull that I was seeing for the longest time, because I was like, this is a UI component library, not sure how to monetize this. Everyone around me was saying chat is dead.
Yeah.
I think people are much more willing to accept chat now than in 2024 when I started. I think what drove me was some sort of fear that ChatGPT might become like a super app. And I didn't also like that sort of proposal that sites like chatgpt.com would replace the web as the primary interface that we interact with the world. And this has also been something that guides us, is like, how do we create an open ecosystem for the interfaces of the future? And that's why SSCI is open source, and we open source as much as we can. Make sure that the interface and just like the shared access to high quality UX is not what drives consumers to use ChatGPT over other products. And then we have a few things brewing over distributed memory for agents, because personalization is another potential centralizing mode for platforms like ChatGPT. The other one is like token subscriptions. That one's interesting. There's a window.ai proposal that Chrome has implemented, which allows the browser to supply websites with tokens. I think that's very cool.
Okay.
So this way, maybe you just subscribe to tokens through your browser, and then that supplies all your websites and all their systems with tokens.
Yeah, that could be another interesting surface, right? Tell me a little bit where do you see this going? Because there's the open source angle for you as a business to sustain that, to also with the new wave of, maybe we can talk about AI slot PRs and all of that part, and then the overall space, of course, of chat as an interface. You just mentioned ChatGPT becoming the omni product that everybody uses for everything. How do you want to position yourself and as an open source company and as a business in order to see success in 26, 27?
Yeah, I think for us, if you look at the Apple ecosystem, which is very centralized, Apple puts users first and developers second. Like I predict that ChatGPT is going to be similar. And we're going to be on the side of the developers first and see what they want, prioritize their business interests first.
What do they want right now?
I think the industry is still very early, and it's just like getting things to work is such a hard problem. Making the agents better, giving them better context is like.
Is that something you do?
We do on the front end side. So what did the user do in the last 5 seconds before interacting with the AI chat? What is the user looking at in the app where assisting UI is embedded in? Who the user is. A few hooks for these signals from the browser is what we give you. I want to do more there. I think things are still moving too slow, and we could build we have so many cool demos and prototypes, and the real world apps that I use today still have very few of that. I think the main benefit of like adding your own AI chat is that you get to integrate it deeply in your product. And it understands the primitives of your product. It can help you use the product faster and smoother, and click around the product for you. You logged in, it has all the data that you have. In a way that's much harder for like a super app to replicate.
If you're building your own application, obviously you cannot just rely on a baked out interface that you just pull. So you will be the pioneer of, so to say, the AI interface. That's what you see.
Working on it, yeah. Constantly bring out new primitives for this.
What's one primitive you're thinking about doing next?
One thing we're seeing very often is that customers are building generative dashboards. And this is like you ask the AI agent, how many new customers did I close last week? And this is like in a CRM, and it gives you a graph. And you're able to, from the chat, drag and drop this graph into a dashboard that constantly updates and stays up to date. So it's like a dashboard builder. I've had to build this like 10 times already for customers in their code bases.
Yeah.
And I want to build this into a primitive.
That sounds like a very exciting primitive. I think you see applications like Base44 and other lovable vibe coding tools that constantly are flooded with requests like this, I think, and it would be super useful. I saw my girlfriend actually building an application. I wouldn't say non-technical because she's been really diving into it, but certainly does not have an engineering background, and the amount of dashboards that I've seen, not very well working, a little bit clunky, that could benefit from something like that. Then maybe as some closing thoughts, we can talk a little bit about your ideas on what you've seen. You already mentioned some primitives for your product, but maybe more for the industry itself. I think 26 is a very interesting year because 25 was kind of seeing a huge shift of adoption everywhere outside of Silicon Valley. I think we've been a little bit ahead, to be frank. But there are more people building UIs. There are people building with with AI. How do you see the role of the developer shifting in the next year to come? and how do you see the influx of new AI-enabled developers or vibe coders playing into your business as well as our business as dev tool companies?
I think there's going to be a shift to more full stack developers, and everyone will need to become full stack and own both the front end, the back end, the data structures. Obviously, there are going to be different interests, but I think that's a good place you can grow as an engineer today. It's like if you've been doing a lot of back end work, you can now go dive deep into front end very easily. If something you had to learn over weeks worth of experimentation, you can now learn in like a few hours by asking the AI to answer all your questions and just pairing with it. Similarly, I think the other thing that I've been doing a lot more is running agents in a loop. I was pretty early in using CodeRabbit and the tab autocomplete of GitHub Copilot when it was in beta. And I think one really cool loop is having an agent look at the CodeRabbit errors and then fixing them and pushing updates. And this is something that's constantly running in the background on my machine.
Okay.
There's not that much good tooling for this though yet. So it's like these automated loops. One of them is look at the code review bot suggestions, and the easy to pick ones you can already merge. The other ones, give it to me in a summary. I can I go in clock code and it gives me numbered bullet points of this idea seems good, I'm not sure about it. This idea seems good, not sure about it. I just implemented the rest. And I can say 1, 2, 3 are good, skip 4, skip 5, do 6. And then it goes and does that. And then the PR is ready to merge. CI is failing because there's a lint error, and my agent running in the background automatically sees this and pushes an update there. The other thing we do is run a coding agent in a while loop to check our docs, and if there's anything out of date, it goes and fixes it. And it's like a script that goes through every single file and it runs overnight. Wow. And that works pretty well. And I'm pretty sure you can think of 20, 30 other patterns like this that are generalizable across projects. And I'm missing the platform or primitive to run this in. I think that's coming pretty soon.
That's a very interesting take. I love it. So you're basically running Ralph loops constantly on your entire production code base. I mean, not pushing to production immediately, obviously, but
yeah. Dexter Horty showed me the Ralph loop paradigm, and I dragged him into a YC hackathon to port a few projects to a different coding language. And we ported browser use and a few others. That browser used to TypeScript and called it better use. And that blew up on Hacker News as well.
Wow.
And since then, it's caught on a lot. And just recently, someone ported Cloud Code to Python, and that's very interesting to see as well. And porting software to a different language is definitely one of these things that you can run in a Ralph loop. And like I said, checking your docs is another one, and I'm pretty sure there's a few others out there that work really well with Ralph loops.
Great, yeah. I've been seeing a little bit of troubles with running some of them on some of my projects, but maybe I have to go back and reiterate.
It really depends on what you're trying to do. For some things, it works well. For many others, it doesn't.
What will be your top 3 tips for doing it successful? Besides, we said docs already. We said having bullet points, so giving some kind of decision narrative. Is there a third one, a recommendation?
I have a blog post coming up, and it's called Lean Forward. And it basically says, as an engineer in 2026, you have 2 options. You can lean back and just let the AI do the vibing.
Yeah, let the AI cook.
And you get to an 80% good result. Or you can lean forward, and it's like you're working like 10 times harder. You're working as much as you did in 2018. But in return, you get like the remaining 20% of what you're capable of. And psychologically, that seems like a really bad trade-off because you get 80% of the work done with 10% of the effort. I'm arguing that you shouldn't do that, and all the alphas in the remaining 20%. And you want to go and really, really focus.
Because what else does differentiate you from any other software programmer or non-programmer even at the end, right?
That's right, yeah. All the alpha is going to be in the remaining 20%. In you working as hard as you had to in 2018. In 2018, you didn't have the choice to lean back and chill. No code got written then. Your code wouldn't compile if you missed a semicolon. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great point to start wrapping up this conversation. I have a little tradition that I do with every one of my guests here.
Okay.
I have a small round of rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're ready, I'll ask them to you. You can try and answer them shortly. If it's something that you feel strongly about, please elaborate more.
Okay.
Okay. All right. First question. Your favorite programming language?
TypeScript.
All right. No doubt there. What do you think about the rustification of the web? We just talked about the fact that you can now basically use a Ralph loop to rewrite everything. Do you think it would be beneficial to have a Rust version of Assistant UI?
Not in the near future. Mm-hmm. At some point, maybe. One thing I've learned from TypeScript is that you can get unreasonably effective at optimizing a language that isn't built for optimization.
Mm-hmm.
That's really interesting to see. So we're betting more on that.
Okay, yeah, cool take. What's your favorite coding model?
Still Claude, just because I've worked so much with it and I know its quirks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sticking to Cloud Code as a harness. All right. What's the coolest thing you built with Assistant UI?
What I built myself is a language learning app that just lets you converse in a different language and it corrects you if you make a mistake.
That's pretty handy. Yeah. What language are you learning?
French.
Ah, okay. Cool. Very cool. Circling back into our conversation before, do you think there's too many AI tools right there in the market right now for developers, or do you think we still need more?
I think the tools out there cluster around a few things that already work.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so much that I do by hand, and I don't understand why this isn't automated yet.
Yeah, okay. Makes sense. What's the most underrated feature of Assistant UI that people should know about?
You can customize every pixel, and most people stick to the default Chatsian style. So,
okay. That's interesting.
We give you zero CSS. We give you no CSS, and it all lives in your code base, so you can go and customize it like crazy.
Awesome. Yeah. Is there one last thing you would like to highlight, maybe that people should know about you or about the team Assistant UI?
We're hiring, and we mainly care about design. So if design is something that interests you, regardless of how much coding experience you have or how much design experience you have, if that's where your heart is, I want to talk to you.
Okay, great. We'll close it at that. Thank you so much, Simon, for coming through.
Thank you as well.
Yeah, awesome.